Hello, this is Mrs. Taylor, and I'm just going to refresh your memory on radical versus exponential form. So, radical is when you have a square root, cube root, fourth root, fifth root, any of the roots. That is a radical. It's this symbol here, kind of looks like division, but sometimes has this index number here. That's your root. And then exponential form is when you have an exponent. And so that would be this form right here. And you can change from radical to exponential form and back again because basically they're the same thing. So in other words, this expression here, the cube root of x squared, is equivalent to x to the 2/3. In other words, if I plugged a number in for x into this expression and into x for this expression, put it in my calculator, I get the exact same number. And so the nice thing about radical and exponential form is that I can convert back and forth between the two depending on what my task is, and depending on what form would make it easier, I can work with that form instead of the original. So, all that being said, the primary skill you need to have is being able to go from one form to the other. And so I'm going to show you first how to go from radical form to exponential, and then exponential to radical. Alright, so to start with, let's look at the fourth root of x cubed. The key phrase that you need to remember is denominator root, numerator exponent. The denominator of the exponent is the root of your radical, and the exponent inside your radical is the numerator of your exponent. It's a lot of words. It can be very confusing. So when you look at it, it's actually much easier than trying to explain it. So denominator root, numerator exponent. So I know I need to convert this to exponential form because that's what the directions are going to tell me to do. So I know I need an exponent, and my base will be x because that doesn't change. And so I'll have my base of x, and I'll need to have my exponent. And then the denominator is the root. So I'm going to have a fractional exponent because that's what radicals are. And my denominator of my exponent is the root. So that would be 4. And then it's denominator root, numerator exponent. So the numerator will be the exponent inside the radical, 3. So to convert from radical to exponential, I put the root in the denominator, the exponent in the numerator. So denominator root, numerator exponent. Denominator root, numerator exponent. Okay, so a couple of things just to keep in mind with radicals. If you just have square root, so if I just have the square root of x, I have to remember that that is a root of 2. And if there's no exponent here, I have to remember that's the exponent of 1. So the square root of x in exponential form would be x to the, I'm going to get my little formatting here, denominator root, numerator exponent. So denominator is the root of 2, exponent is 1 because there's nothing written there. And so the square root of x is the same thing as x to the 1/2. And so I have to remember that those two things are understood to be there. If there's no index, no number here in the elbow, that means it's a denominator of 2. And if there's no exponent here, we understand that to be exponent of 1. So now, let's pretend that the directions say convert from exponential form to radical form. And so it's the same phrase, denominator root, numerator exponent. And so if I'm converting to radical form, I need a radical. And the denominator is the root. So the denominator here is 4. So my root will be 4. And then, of course, I'm still going to have my base of x. But now the numerator becomes the exponent. So the numerator of 5 is the exponent inside the radical. And so x to the 5/4 is the fourth root of x to the 5th. So that's how you convert from exponential to radical form. And the same thing's true for your square roots. if there's a 2 as your denominator. So let's say we had, I don't know, x to the, let's say 3/2. Then your denominator of 2 is your root, but usually we don't write the 2. So instead of writing a 2 here like this, usually we just leave it blank. But if you did write a 2, it wouldn't be wrong. I would still give you credit, just so you know that you won't normally see that as an official answer in like a textbook or whatever. So this is acceptable. However, if it's a root of 2, the better answer is just leave it out. So that's how you convert from exponential to radical and then radical to exponential form.